Now this is what we call a safe queen or closet princess in the cue collecting world. It doesn't get much better than this. So if you can't tell already, it is made by the world famous master level cue maker and super cool cat, if I might add, our good friend Mr. Jerry Mcworter, one of the West Coast's finest. Super cool guy, amazing cue maker, and he dresses real wild too. And don't challenge him to play in any pool because he knows how to use these weapons that he makes on the table real well. Great guy, Mr. Jerry Mcworter. Can't say enough good stuff about him. He's a good friend of ours. We are looking forward to hanging out with him again this year at the Super Billiards Expo. But nevertheless, this Mcworter is extra special in my opinion. So you collectors, if you want to add something nice, or players, if you want something really good to play with, Mcworter cues always speak for themselves. The reason this one is really special, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on this cue, and then I'm going to read the LOA as it's best put, of course, in Jerry's words. So first of all, this is just some outlandish, just absolutely ridiculous Snakewood. Look at that. Ridiculous Snakewood. All of the white in these inlays right here that have the crown-like shapes, those are natural material. That's the good stuff right there. Okay, so there is no overseas shipping on this cue, and depending on what state you live in, we may have restrictions as well. You can always fly into Chicago, and if you pay enough, we'll pick you up in a limousine, give you the VIP treatment. This cue was held in the prestigious Price collection. So Bob Price, the successful retired entrepreneur from Sarasota, Florida, who is notably a really super nice guy, by the way. You will never meet a more down-to-earth, successful guy. Bob is just a dandy to talk to on the phone. He's a great friend of ours. Bob is now in his 80s, and he has sold us some of his cues. This came out of his collection. So kind of a neat little history. Bob used to go to all of the Iccs shows. And at one time, when they would do the show, and of course they've always themed the shows, right? So they would do, for instance, this was a Snakewood show, or they did the Maritime show. Some of you have seen us sell the cues out of the Maritime collection. They just did the Midnight in Burl. So they would give a theme to the cue maker, and once the cue maker had that theme, they would enter a cue that would compete with the other cues. Well, Bob would actually go in with his deep pockets and just buy everything. And then eventually they kind of restricted that and said, hey, one person cannot buy every single cue. Now, I actually own a Felipe cue that I've hung on to in our private collection here at Crossroad Cues that came out of the same collection as this cue. And this cue was photographed. If you look up the Bob Price collection in Sarasota, Florida, or Bob Price Cue Collector, there's a newspaper article that I don't have a copy of that actually shows this cue and our cue, the Felipe. So a little bit of neat history. Now, the cool stuff is this. This cue sold for over $4,000 back in 2002, and we're letting it go for only $35.75 plus the shipping and any PayPal or any other type of fees depending on how you pay us. It is available exclusively here at Crossroad Cues. We are one of the highest rated cue dealers, of course, in the world. You can check us out at crossroadcues.com. And we also have financing through a firm with as low as 0% financing for 6 months. So, a couple of things that I want to point out to you that are really super cool. I showed you the Snakewood in the forearm and the butt sleeve, and I'm going to tell you what Jerry said about that in a minute. Now, this may seem minuscule to you, but to me it's a big deal. I actually play with some of Jerry's cues. What I love, now sometimes people think that they could be a little bit on the thicker side, and if you listen to Jerry's interviews, he does have a thicker butt, and he does that by design, right? So everything he does is by design, and he doesn't change much for anybody. He's always kept, like the same ring work. He calls them player friendly. So if you get a Mcworter, you're going to see the double silver ring and so on and so forth. You cannot get him to build a cue like this again because he won't build with the natural material because he's in California. So there's one thing. you're getting a super value by getting this cue even under $4,000. And the second thing that I really like about it, and again, it may seem minuscule to you, if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. I'm going to tell you, this pigskin wrap is, I would rate it a 10 out of 10, okay? It has the best feel and texture, in my humble opinion, that you're going to find. Now, some guys like elephant, some guys like lizard, some guys like crocodile, some guys like linen, okay? If you're a leather wrap guy, I promise you, this is the best of the best. It feels so good. I've asked some of the guys that were making cues like in the 90s and 2000s using it, if they can put it on cues, all of them will tell you the same way. They can't source pigskin of this caliber, okay? So just a fact for you. Now, the other cool thing is this cue has been kept unplayed since 2002, okay? And it's very tempting to chalk it up. I have hit some balls with it with a different shaft. Okay, so I wouldn't sell it as a brand new cue. It was made in 2002. 15.4 ounces on the butt, by the way, okay? Nice forward balance like it should be. There's your balance point. 3/8 10 pin. Very heavy shafts. You got 4.1 ounce Mcworter maple shafts. The best of the best of the best. Look at these things. They are aged like fine wine, baby. Look at that. You can tell by the color of them, the rings. Those are the kind of shafts that dreams are made out of, okay? Even if you're a low deflection guy, you want to keep those suckers with this cue, all right? Natural ferrules, all the white is natural. One of the shafts has a taper roll, kind of lift in the center. The tip doesn't move. Everything else rolls straight together and apart. No dings, no dents, no scratches. We like to say no apologies on this one. Now let me read it to you in the words of our main man, Mr. Jerry Mcworter. He says, "It brings me great pleasure to present cue number 1402. All right, so you can see Mcworter has the number of his cues on the bottom, of course, right there. Specially designed for the much anticipated International Cue Collectors exhibit held September 26th through 28th, 2002 in New Mexico. This cue features some of the most finely figured snakewood." Now, that's saying a lot for Mcworter because he uses some crazy good wood I have had the opportunity to work with. The solid snakewood front and butt simply framed with a solid natural ivory, again made in 2002, so there's no restrictions, inlaid crown above and below the leather wrap. I believe this design is the most fitting way to showcase the natural beauty of this exceptional piece of wood. I hope you love it as much as I do. Best regards, Mr. Jerry Mcworter. So there you go. If you want to add something real special to your collection, or something that you're going to just love playing with, this is the one. I'm telling you right now, a lot of value. The price is the price. We're selling it way below what we should. $35.75 plus shipping and fees. Crossroadcues.com. 02, all original, unchalked, unplayed, Jerry Mcworter, Snakewood.